Hey Rob.
How are you, Tam? It's good to see you and connect with you today.
Yeah, it is great to connect with you, and hopefully, we're going to connect with some people on Facebook to talk about what you're really great at, being an agile coach. Um, Tell me about what is an agile coach, Rob?
Well, I think best way to describe that as an agile coach is someone that wears many hats. Um, we help people with the different practices of agile. Agile is an umbrella term, really, in terms of the practices. So, I work a lot with our teams at Bendigo Bank on the Scrum framework and Lean. But there's many other practices that the Agile coach can work with. So in my journey to become an Agile coach, that was sort of the first thing I started to learn. Um, One of the other things that I'm really passionate about is getting mindset right. And so spending time helping people with growth mindset and finding new ways to tackle challenges and problems and those sorts of things. And I guess that's really where, for me, that's what agile is, if you like. It's really about having that mindset, the growth mindset of, well, how do we get better, and how do we help others get better. My role is also to help people to collaborate and connect. So to bring people from different areas or different positions, and how to bring them together and collaborate. And so then, as a part of that, we start to explore, how facilitation and the art of facilitation, and facilitating sessions to help with that collaboration. Um, might do a little bit of drawing and those sorts of things to be able to help with those sorts of, with that collaboration as well. We also play a role in helping to deliver change, and to deliver value to our customers. So I spend time working with teams on how to break large pieces of work down into small pieces that give them the flexibility to be able to change direction, and how to manage that flow of work so that we're really keeping that flow of work nice and smooth through to our customers and those sorts of things.
Yeah, you work in a really large organization, and a very traditional industry too, like banking. And banks are all about security and low risk. And I can imagine to innovate, which I think, you're trying to set up that culture for innovation, I imagine could be, reasonably tricky. And I know a lot of organizations are definitely in a space at the moment, and leaders in a space where they've got to innovate,
Yeah.
get through this time. Um, and like how are you supporting those leaders to create that setting to innovate,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
everything
Well, I suppose one of the
uncertain?
hats that one of the hats that I guess I wear that I didn't talk about there before is the hat of helping to form teams and build culture. I guess with my role, we talk about that we do the practices, so we follow the principles and live the values that we want. So as a part of my coaching role, it's about helping the team to understand some of those practices that we want to implement into a team that will help us with building culture. Things like establishing a social contract, making a commitment to each other to get better, and continuous improvement. Those sort of practices, and then starting to live some of the principles of listen, learning, and iterating, and looking to course correct as we go. And then that means we start to live the values of having the courage to take things on, or have empathy and meet people where they're at, and those sorts of
Yeah,
things. So
they're really big concepts there. I'm just going to and sort of unpack them a bit, because agile is not something you can like pop in your calendar and bam, you scheduled it. It really sounds like a very transformational process
yeah,
that's got a lot of things to balance in there, where you're making that decision to be the best you can be,
yeah. So it's definitely for me. I think the best way to describe it is a journey, and it's not just it's not a journey for a technology team. It's a journey that comes from a mindset and belief, I guess, I apply it in many different ways in my life, in my personal life, but also in the corporate world. But also you can see it across many industries. So whether that be small business, whether that be education, whether that be large corporate organisations, that getting that mindset of what is the how can I what is the next little thing I can do to help grow and get better or go from good to great.
Yeah,
To be able to do that, but do that in
they're really
small
big
steps.
questions, aren't they? And definitely one of our viewers, she is leading an accelerator program,
Hmm.
so which was one-to-one, and now it's going virtual, and she's got a team helping deliver the accelerator program. What would you, say to this leader who's, now working virtually to keep, building that culture of, okay, we're going to make this happen. We're going to be the best we can be, even though it's all through a screen.
Yeah. So I think one of the things, and I think I shared this in a post really early days when probably before the pandemic really took hold of us in terms of working from
Mhm.
home, about what it's like to facilitate virtually. And some of the things that I've been doing with our teams is just making time for that personal connection. Like we are today, making sure our cameras are on, doing it in a commercial way to make sure we're not breaching any security or anything like that. So all my bank stuff was hidden away, if you like, so that I protect the rights of the bank. But so we make sure we allow for that time to connect. That we have that empathy that for people that sometimes their tech's not going to work and it's going to be a bit frustrating, but that we allow for that. Some of the other things I'm seeing our teams take on is virtual picnics, virtual coffees, virtual Friday night drinks, allowing and making sure there's channels of communication that can happen that are about work, but then that are about social. So the bank, the teams I'm in at the moment, we're using Microsoft Teams, and we've got channels that we're using there. One that's for our work and what we have to do for our work, but then there's a social channel where people can just pop up funny things they see. I think that allowing for that connection. And I think the other thing I'm seeing with my leader is he knows how I like to connect, and I know how he likes to connect, and so we're making sure we're working towards that together. So he knows I need a phone call each day to just check in how things are going, and it's probably going to be an intense call because I'm a high frequency, high intensity communicator. That's how I like to connect. And I went to Agile Australia last year, and I heard Ali Walker talk about that, her program of the way to connect with people and the different types of preferences people like to connect. That for me was something that that's relevant still now, even in this digital way. So if someone's they're the low intensity but high frequency connections, or they're the deep thinker. So they're the really intense conversations, but they only like them once every now and again. How you handle those, how you interact and connect with people, you have to just be
Wow,
respectful of
this
that.
is such interesting stuff. And definitely, yeah, I think great, great for leaders to consider, and making that space for people to feel comfortable about themselves and be comfortable in organisation. We've got a great comment from Kathy O'Toole, who loves that a large organisation is having a compassionate approach to staff.
Yeah.
I have got one other big question, Murph, about, and it's probably a really big answer as well. So, obviously understanding people's communication styles. How do you do that? And is it a really high priority? Like, should you do
Yeah.
it, or just keep plowing through?
Oh, no, 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 definitely. I think taking the time to understand what each person. So I'm leading a team at the moment as well as doing my coaching role. And I've taken over leading that team in the last 4 weeks. Now, I knew some of those people because they've been in the bank for 20 years, like myself. But then there's a couple of other people in that team that I've never met before. I haven't even met them. I think I might have met them once in person. That's about it. And so I don't really know them. So just making the time, so taking the time, pick up the phone, connect, call, make sure that
Well, that sounds
conversation
good.
that sounds like someone on trying to connect at the moment. But just making time, and I think there's there's just something there about making time to listen that's really important, and it's really important for everyone's mental health. So having the space for you as a person to have someone that listens to you, that helps you. I've never. I'm always willing to be open about my journey in terms of my mental health and the things that I do to keep me whole. So my mindfulness practices that I live each day. The fact that I've got Dr. Annie in my world and a psychologist that I spend time with, and that's really a space where she's listening to me, and that's helping me to stay whole. And then that allows me then to be able to listen to others and help them stay whole. And so that listening is really important, even though it's digital like this. If we look about from an agile coaching perspective, in a world where we're able to go to work, when we talk about distributed teams, and I guess this environment we're living in is a bit like a distributed team, we're always encouraged that they bring people together because there's nothing better than actually bringing a whole group of people together. So when we start talking about distributed teams, one day we'll be able to all come together again, and that's when you can get to know each other and having that regular come together. So whether that's every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the organisation wants to invest in bringing people together in distributed teams is really important. For the connection for staff, but also in terms of being able to deliver the outcomes that the organisation wants to achieve.
Yeah, I love it. I really like it, and I hope we get to meet up again in person to have a cuppa. I really
Yeah,
excited by your work, and for me, I'm probably a high level thinker who actually doesn't value personal connection. In like I do, but I don't like it's not one of my high priorities.
yeah,
So it's to spend time just talking about it and what you're talking about, make it into your practice.
yeah,
Really, really appreciate that, and
yeah.
been appreciating the videos you've been popping up on LinkedIn, sharing your story. I'm joining in with the Flanny.
Yeah. The flanny's a bit of a symbol.
Take it all down a notch, and being real, and really appreciate what you're giving right now.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Well, I think it's really important. Our managing director of the bank, Marnie, is a beautiful person. And one of the things that Marn talks about is being true to yourself. And it's really important. And that's something I think over my journey, over the time I've been at the bank, that's really starting to come to the fore now that I'm being myself and being true to myself, and hence the beard, hence the flanny, hence the I guess the bushman look, if you like. But also when that also plays out when I work with teams. So as a young man growing up, my dad was he was really focused on community and helping the community, and that's been something that's I guess built into me through my childhood. And as a young teenager, I was involved with sport and coaching teams, and I had a dream that I wanted to coach teams. And then I wanted off to uni, and I landed in IT. And I thought, I'm never going to coach teams, but here I am, 20 years later after uni. I'm coaching teams in a corporate environment, and so I feel like I've sort of found me, if you like, in what I want to achieve. And I think that also that connecting is now having the courage to connect and share outside. What that's resulting in is other people connecting back and giving, and I'm learning from them. So I've never done one of these before, and you saw my video, we connected, you've come back, and now I'm doing something new, and it feels a bit uncomfortable, but that's good, because with the growth mindset, we know the uncomfortable space is where, that's where the magic happens and good stuff happens. But also, in the small things, I shared, I mentioned in one of my videos about graphic recording is one of the things that I've been exploring as a coach. And a friend of mine suggested, hey, there's a graphic recording class on Wednesday night. And I did that. And when I joined, there were people from Singapore and all around the world. So having a worldview, and
Yeah.
our friend Mel McCarthy talks about having that worldview, and all of a sudden I was, I was in a graphic recording class talking to someone from Singapore about what was happening in their community. And that was cool, because I shared that. I learned from her, and we learned how to graphic record together. And then what I was able to do is take that and share that in a coaching class that I run at the bank. And I'm always open to people connecting, whether it's commenting on a post that I do, and wanting to explore how we can connect. But I was able to take that learning, it's all from just saying I'm thinking about learning about graphic recording, I'm interested in it, to sharing with our staff. And that's taking that worldview, but helping our community here in Central Victoria grow, which is a beautiful place to live, and a wonderful, vibrant community with lots of opportunity. And I guess when I started to think about sharing what I'm doing, I started to discover, one of the reasons I did is I didn't know too many in Bendigo, in our Central Victorian community, that did what I did. The people that helped me to transition into this role came into our community from Melbourne. And
Okay.
so what I wanted to do was try and build a greater community in our community, or connection in our community with people that have the same focus, and to stop organisations having to pay someone to come up from Melbourne
So
to do
frustrating.
what we do. Yeah. And a part of my graphic recording, I met someone who lives in Melbourne, has been driving all the way to Mildura to do what I do, and which is great for them and great for the Mildura community. But then it's like, well, we need to start to grow some of these capabilities that in our community. Yeah.
Very exciting. I love it, and I appreciate everything that you're doing. Looking
Thank
forward to
you.
more.
Yeah, super.
Thank you so much for today, Murph.
That's great. Thanks, Tam. I hope everyone found it good fun, and may you, your family, and your community be safe and healthy. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.